Confidence. It's the word everyone's chasing. We talk about it like it's oxygen, something you have to find, build, or fake before you can start doing anything meaningful. But what if I told you this? Confidence is not the starting line. It's the finish line. You don't need confidence to begin. You need courage. Let me tell you a truth most people never hear. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after action. You build confidence by doing the thing, not by waiting to feel ready for it. But our culture has it backwards. We've built an entire world that celebrates looking confident instead of being brave. Scroll through social media. Everyone looks sure of themselves. Perfect lighting, perfect words, perfect lives. And you? You start to feel small. Like you're the only one who still hesitates. But here's the thing. They hesitate too. Every single person you've ever admired has felt fear, self-doubt, uncertainty. They just learned how to move anyway. That's courage. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel afraid. It means you act even when you do. Confidence is quiet after victory. Courage is loud during battle. Think about the first time you tried to speak up in a room, the first time you stepped on a stage, the first time you told someone you loved them. You didn't wait until you felt ready. You did it trembling. You did it uncertain. And yet you did it. And that's where real confidence was born. We've confused confidence with appearance. But courage, that's rooted in truth. Confidence asks, what if I fail? Courage whispers, I might, and I'll still do it. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, a young man wanted to start a podcast. He had ideas, passion, a voice in his head that said, you can inspire people. But another voice said louder, who are you to do that? For 6 months, he waited. He read every book about confidence, took every course on public speaking, watched motivational videos every night. And yet, he never recorded a single word. Then one day, he pressed record with fear still inside him. His voice shook. His hands trembled. He uploaded it anyway. 10 people listened, then 100, then 1,000. And here's the truth. He never became confident before he started. He became confident because he started. That's the illusion. We think we need to feel confident to begin, but in reality, we gain confidence only after doing the thing we fear. Here's how the brain works. Confidence is familiarity. Your brain loves what it knows. When you do something for the first time, your brain triggers alarm bells. This is unknown. It's dangerous. It's not actually danger. It's uncertainty. But your nervous system treats it the same way. Heart racing, sweaty palms, the need to escape. So most people stop there. They think, I'm not ready. But here's the paradox. You can't feel ready until you do it enough times that your brain realizes, oh, we didn't die. That's why courage is the bridge. It's the choice to walk into the unknown before your body feels safe doing it. The first time is supposed to feel scary. It's supposed to feel awkward. That's how rewiring works. Here's the science. The amygdala, the fear center in your brain, doesn't disappear with confidence. It gets quieter when it learns you can survive discomfort. Confidence isn't the absence of fear, it's the absence of panic. And courage is what teaches the brain not to panic. Every act of courage rewires your biology. Every "I did it anyway" builds neural evidence that you're capable. So confidence is memory. It's your nervous system remembering that you can handle it. That's why confident people look calm, not because they don't feel fear, but because they've rehearsed courage long enough to make it feel normal.
Fear. It's the most ancient, the most powerful, and the most misunderstood emotion we have. Every human being, no matter how successful, strong, or spiritual, lives with it. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a signal. But most people never learn how to read that signal. They only learn how to run from it. And that's where the problem begins. Let's talk about what fear actually is. Not the monster under your bed, but the chemistry inside your brain. When you feel fear, your amygdala, a small almond-shaped part deep in your brain, lights up. It's been doing the same job for 200,000 years to protect you. It scans for threats, a lion, a snake, a stranger with bad intentions. Back in the wild, this was life-saving. But today, that same alarm system reacts to everything: public speaking, rejection, criticism, uncertainty, a new opportunity. Your brain can't tell the difference between real danger and emotional discomfort. It just says, run, hide, don't risk it. That's why confidence feels impossible sometimes, because your biology is doing its job too well. So let's be clear. Fear is not weakness. Fear is information. It tells you this matters. It tells you you're on the edge of growth. The trick is not to remove fear. It's to understand it, to work with it. Here's the science behind that. When fear triggers the amygdala, your body releases adrenaline and cortisol, the fight-or-flight hormones. Heart rate increases, your breathing gets shallow, your muscles tense up. Your body is preparing for survival. But what it doesn't know is you're not running from a tiger, you're running from your own potential. That's why courage is biological rebellion. Every time you act despite fear, you're teaching your brain a new lesson. Discomfort is not danger. Each time you do that, you rewire the connection between your prefrontal cortex, your logical mind, and your amygdala, your emotional alarm. The more often they talk, the quieter fear becomes. That's not philosophy. That's neuroscience. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the rewiring of it. Let's make this real. A study from Stanford University asked two groups of people to perform a difficult public speaking task. One group was told to try to calm down. The other group was told to reframe fear as excitement. Guess which group performed better? The second group, by far. Why? Because they didn't kite fear, they redirected it. You see, fear and excitement are chemically identical. They both release adrenaline. The only difference is interpretation. When you tell yourself, "I'm not scared, I'm excited," you shift your body from defense mode to performance mode. That's why top athletes, soldiers, and performers don't eliminate fear. They learn to use it. They expect it. They invite it. They understand that if they're not feeling fear, they're not pushing hard enough. Fear is the sign that you're alive. It's proof that you're at the frontier of your comfort zone. If you never feel fear, it's not courage, it's stagnation. There's a story about a mountain climber. Let's call him Adam. Before every climb, Adam feels the same thing: trembling hands, tight chest, racing heart. Every time, even after years. Someone asked him, "Don't you wish you could get rid of the fear?" He said, "No. The day I stop feeling fear, I'll quit, because that means I've stopped respecting the mountain. That's wisdom. Courage doesn't remove fear. It balances it with purpose. Here's something you can try next time you feel fear. Don't fight it. Label it. Say out loud, "This is my body preparing me." Not, "This is anxiety." Not, "This is panic." This is preparation. You're hijacking your own nervous system in a good way. By labeling it, you activate your prefrontal cortex and regain control. It's called cognitive reappraisal, and it's one of the most powerful tools in psychology for emotional regulation. The moment you name fear, you tame it. Let's go deeper. Your brain's #1 job is safety, not success. That's why you hesitate before taking risks. Your brain loves patterns, even if they're painful. It would rather keep you in familiar misery than risk unfamiliar freedom. That's why so many people stay stuck in bad jobs, bad relationships, bad habits. Not because they're weak, but because they've confused comfort with safety. Courage breaks that loop. Every time you step into discomfort, you're sending a message to your brain, "This is safe," even if it's new. That's how you stretch the boundaries of your comfort zone. And the funny thing about courage is that it expands the map of your life. Fear builds walls. Courage builds doors. You cannot think your way out of fear. You must move your way through it. Here's a practical framework I want you to remember. 1. Recognize the signal. When fear shows up, say thank you. It's your brain telling you this is important. 2. Reframe it. Say, "I'm not scared, I'm ready." Shift fear into focus. 3. Regulate. Take 3 slow breaths. Long exhale. Lower your shoulders. Bring the body back to calm. 4. Respond. Act anyway. Because fear fades after action, not before. That's the rhythm of courage. Recognition, reframe, regulate, respond. Let me tell you about Maya. Maya was a brilliant designer who always dreamed of launching her own brand. She had ideas, sketches, everything ready except courage. She said, "I'll do it when I'm more confident." 3 years passed. Her friends launched brands. She still waited. One day, she heard a talk where someone said, "Fear is your GPS for growth." It clicked. She didn't need to kill fear. She needed to follow it. That week, she launched her brand. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't smooth, but it was real. She sold 12 products, then 50, then hundreds. And when someone asked her if she was confident now, she said, "I'm not sure I am, but I've learned to be scared and still move." That's courage. That's science and spirit working together. Fear is energy. It can paralyze you or propel you, depending on how you use it. Let's go even deeper into biology for a second. The part of your brain that imagines fear, that runs what-if scenarios, is the same part that imagines your dreams. Think about that. The same imagination that creates your vision also creates your anxiety. So the goal isn't to stop imagining. It's to give your imagination a better direction. When fear paints pictures of failure, don't fight the image. Paint a bigger one. Replace "what if I fail" with "what if I grow?" Replace "what if I embarrass myself" with "what if I inspire someone?" You can't erase thoughts. You can only overwrite them. And that's how courage rewires the mind. Courage isn't blind. It sees the risk and moves anyway. Confidence is what happens when the risk becomes familiar, but courage is what makes it possible in the first place. If fear is your signal, then courage is your answer. When you feel the heartbeat rise, when your palms sweat, when your chest tightens, that's not a red light. That's a green one. Because fear means you're expanding. It means your comfort zone just met your calling. Don't run from that. Walk straight into it. That's where growth hides, forged plus. Built in the fire, sharpened by discipline, driven by purpose.
Courage. We talk about it like magic, like something people either have or don't. But that's not true. Courage isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. You don't find courage, you forge it. It's not random. It's not mystical. It's mechanical. Courage is a process, one that your body, mind, and soul perform together. And once you understand that process, you'll realize that courage is something you can train every single day. So let's break it down. How does courage actually work? There are three forces that create courage: fear awareness, recognizing fear without letting it control you; value alignment, acting from something deeper than emotion; and behavior repetition, building courage through consistent exposure.
You've heard the stories. You've learned the science. You've felt the truth. Now, let's make it real. Because knowledge without practice is just entertainment. Courage is not something you talk about. It's something you train every single day. Here's the first truth you need to remember. Courage is a skill. And like every skill, it grows through repetition, resistance, and reflection. If you want to become courageous, you can't just think your way there. You have to live your way there. So let's build your training ground. There are three arenas of courage. The inner arena, mastering your thoughts and emotions. The outer arena, taking action despite uncertainty. The social arena, standing firm in front of others. Let's go through them, one by one. 1. The inner arena. This is where most people lose, inside their own mind. Your thoughts shape your fear. Your fear shapes your behavior. So if you want to master courage, you have to start with what you say to yourself when no one's listening. Think about your self-talk. When you fail, what do you say? When you're scared, what story do you tell yourself? The words you whisper become the world you live in. Most people use their mind like a weapon against themselves. They replay every mistake. They rehearse every failure before it even happens. Courage begins when you change the script. Here's how to train it. Step 1. Catch the thought. Every time fear starts talking, you can't, you're not ready, you'll fail. Pause and write it down. Label it. Fear voice number 1. Step 2. Question it. Ask, is this a fact or a feeling? Fear speaks in feelings. Courage acts on facts. Step 3. Replace it. Instead of I can't, say I can try once. Instead of what if I fail, say what if I grow? This isn't toxic positivity. It's cognitive accuracy. You're not lying to yourself. You're telling a more useful truth. And over time,
the brain starts to believe what you repeat. You become what you practice. Here's a 3-minute habit that rewires fear. Every morning, look in the mirror and say, I don't need. You've heard the stories. You've learned the science. You've felt the truth. Now, let's make it real. Because knowledge without practice is just entertainment. Courage is not something you talk about. It's something you train every single day. Here's the first truth you need to remember. Courage is a skill. And like every skill, it grows through repetition, resistance, and reflection. If you want to become courageous, you can't just think your way there. You have to live your way there. So let's build your training ground. There are 3 arenas of courage. The inner arena, mastering your thoughts and emotions. The outer arena, taking action despite uncertainty. The social arena, standing firm in front of others. Let's go through them, one by one. 1. The inner arena. This is where most people lose, inside their own mind. Your thoughts shape your fear. Your fear shapes your behavior. So if you want to master courage, you have to start with what you say to yourself when no one's listening. Think about your self-talk. When you fail, what do you say? When you're scared, what story do you tell yourself? The words you whisper become the world you live in. Most people use their mind like a weapon against themselves. They replay every mistake. They rehearse every failure before it even happens. Courage begins when you change the script. Here's how to train it. Step 1. Catch the thought. Every time fear starts talking, you can't, you're not ready, you'll fail. Pause and write it down. Label it. Fear voice number 1. Step 2. Question it. Ask, is this a fact or a feeling? Fear speaks in feelings. Courage acts on facts. Step 3. Replace it. Instead of I can't, say I can try once. Instead of what if I fail, say what if I grow? This isn't toxic positivity. It's cognitive accuracy. You're not lying to yourself. You're telling a more useful truth. And over time, the brain starts to believe what you repeat. You become what you practice. Here's a 3-minute habit that rewires fear. Every morning, look in the mirror and say, I don't need.
There comes a moment in life when you stop chasing how you feel and start focusing on who you become. That's the moment courage stops being something you do and becomes something you are. That's what it means to be unshakable. Confidence says, I believe in myself. Courage says, I'll move even when I don't. But when courage becomes your nature, you stop needing either. You simply act. You simply are. That's the final stage of growth. Not fearless, not perfect, just forged. Let's talk about what it means to live this way. When you become unshakable, it doesn't mean you never fall. It means falling no longer defines you. You stop living for applause. You stop breaking under opinions. You stop needing validation to breathe. You start finding peace in pressure, purpose in pain, and calm inside the chaos. You stop asking, how do I feel? And start asking, what's required of me? That's when your soul starts leading instead of your fear. There's something powerful about people who've been broken and rebuilt. You can see it in their eyes. They've faced failure, rejection, loss, and they're still standing. They don't brag. They don't perform. They move with quiet certainty. Because they know what the fire feels like, and they're not afraid of it anymore. They've learned that life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. That's what being unshakable means. You've learned by now, confidence fades, motivation dies, but courage regenerates. Every time you face the unknown, you build another layer of resilience. Every scar is proof of adaptation. You've been through storms before, and you're still here. So why do you still doubt yourself? The proof of your strength is already in your survival. The unshakable don't pray for easier lives. They build stronger hearts. They don't wait for the world to be kind. They decide to stay kind anyway. They don't need to be fearless. They've just learned to trust themselves when fear comes knocking. Because once you've walked through fire, rain doesn't scare you anymore. There's a moment in every transformation where the old version of you fights to stay alive. That's the hardest part. Because the old you knows your fears, your triggers, your comforts. It whispers, stay small, stay safe, stay the same. But courage doesn't argue. It moves. And when you move long enough, that old version gets left behind, burned away, reshaped, reborn. That's the forge. That's where you become unshakable. When you live this way, fear still visits, but it doesn't stay. Doubt still whispers, but it doesn't decide. And when the world gets loud, you don't run, you return to silence, because silence is where the unshakable recharge. Stillness is where courage rests. You stop chasing highs, you start building roots. Here's a truth no one tells you. You don't overcome fear once, you overcome it daily. Every morning you wake up and choose courage again. Every night you lay down knowing fear didn't win again. That's what mastery looks like. Not perfection, persistence. Courage isn't an achievement, it's a lifestyle. Let me tell you a story. There's a Japanese art called kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. When something breaks, they don't throw it away, they mend it, and in so doing, they make it more valuable than before. That's what courage does to you. Every time life breaks you, courage repairs you with gold. The cracks remain, but they shine. They tell your story. The unshakable are not unbroken. They're rebuilt beautifully. So if you're listening right now, and you feel like you've been through too much, like you've failed too many times, lost too much, waited too long, I need you to hear this. You are not behind. You are being forged. The fire you're in is not punishment. It's preparation. It's shaping you into someone unshakable. Courage isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet, steady, patient. It's showing up when no one sees. It's holding integrity when no one claps. It's choosing peace when chaos is easier. Confidence is what others see. Courage is what God sees. And being unshakable means you stop performing for the world and start answering to your soul. Let me give you something to live by. Every time fear visits, welcome it. Say, "You're early. I was expecting you." Every time doubt speaks, listen, and then move anyway. Every time you fall, get up, because that's how unshakable is built in the repetitions of rising. Every scar, every failure, every disappointment, they're not evidence of weakness. They're proof you stayed in the fire long enough to become steel. Being unshakable isn't about being fearless. It's about being faithful. Faithful to your purpose, faithful to your effort, faithful to your growth. Confidence says, "I hope I can." Courage says, "Even if I can't, I'll try." The unshakable say, "I'll keep showing up until I do." And that's you. That's who you're becoming. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more confidence. You just need to remember who you're becoming and never stop walking towards it. Because the world doesn't need more confident people. It needs more courageous ones. People who don't just talk about light, they walk into darkness and bring it. That's how you change the world, one act of courage at a time. You've learned to feel fear. You've learned to move through it. You've learned to practice courage. Now, you've become unshakable. Forged plus, built in the fire, sharpened by discipline, driven by purpose.